It's the Jim and Terry, the Jim-less Terry version of the show. Yes, he's not here again, but we continue to sally forth in the hot seat talking about stuff that I find controversial, exciting, invigorating, mentally stimulating, and I was going to say spiritually, but you know what? I'm more uncertain about things, all things, as I get older. Is anyone else in that boat? You're not too sure of things that you thought you were certain of? I'm still writing my book. You may have noticed that it has gone now for over 2 years. A lot of slogging. But as I go along, the more uncertain I am, despite the title being The Grace of Uncertainty. There is grace in being uncertain. It certainly invites conversations. It invites open-ended questions, not closed. Mindedness, not closed. Thinking, not making your world small and confined, but opening the boundaries of your explorations. And what's this got to do with anything despite my cry for science and my cry for certainty, my cry for a Brene Brown-ism, the measuring stick? I like that idea, and I was going to poke around a Brene Brown video with my dear cousin who visited with me for a week. One of us is closing out a decade with a 0. One of us is entering the decade with a 0, and between the two of us, I thought, oh, this is a good time. So my dear cousin M. Yeah, this one is for you. This one is saying the hot seat was here available, and it would have been a treat for me to entertain you in the Hobbit hole. But that will wait for another time. And in the meantime, the seat is getting heated up for my good friend Jim, who I hope will rejoin us in the next few days. My cousin, as someone who reflects a lot on life and celebrates things that are intriguing and of interest, giving her pause to think, has given me some books, always a treasure on a birthday or a special occasion for me, to receive books, either hand-me-downs from my cousin or things that she has that she intended to maybe read for herself but have passed along instead. Well, here's one that is a New York Times bestseller. The title is The Power of Knowing What You Don't Know, and in big print on the front, with a match being chilled by water, a water droplet on a match. The title is Think Again by Adam Grant. Okay, Think Again. So that's kind of giving me pause in my quest for certainty, because in the end I am certain I will agree with, was it Aristotle or Socrates? I get these things, or Socrates or Plato. Who was it who said, of one thing, only one thing I know, and that is that I do not know? And into that mess, that quagmire of philosophy, go a few of us. And I'm thinking that this is going to be a good book for me. So here's the inscription from my dear cousin, which I hope you will indulge me with. And dear cuz, I hope that you don't mind me reading from this. Signed in the introduction, in celebration of curiosity and uncertainty, September 2024. And one of the things that I've just been skimming through the book. It looks like one I will soak up and get through. But here's one of the things that leaps out at me at this point, and that is the word humility. It appears in a few of the diagrams that I've come to see in the book, and again, it's full of illustrations, and I like that approach. Charts, graphs, Venn diagrams, graphics of all sorts, all of that stuff is what I enjoy, and this is a book that's fairly well researched. But it does break down in the opening chapter the mental models that guide most people. And if I can read this thing, the print needs full illumination for me. Are you familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs? It's a pyramid-shaped structure, and it has basic needs at the bottom, and then as you move towards the peak, you become self-actualized, or a person who's fulfilled in every possible measure of human existence. Well, in this mental model diagram, which is in Chapter 1, we have at the bottom the very basic model of someone who maybe doesn't inquire, who doesn't think, who doesn't go out of the box, but rather constructs the box, makes the bricks that builds the wall that surrounds himself and locks himself in, is the cult leader. How many times have we heard MAGA be described and Trump being described as a cult leader? That's at the basic level of, I don't care about anybody else, and I will think what I think, and you can't make me change my mind. Then there is the politician, and the moniker for the politician, or the motto, is "We're right, they are wrong." So you're starting to identify an us and them, me versus we, and the politician is the one who seems to broker that level of the pyramid. There's a lot to be said for that. At least you're moving out from your narcissism, and you actually acknowledge that there are people who disagree with you, but you conclude after some examination that you're right, and they, whoever they are wrong. And that brings me to the vagueness of tell me about it. Who are they? They're doing this. They're going to threaten that. If they get elected, they're going to do this. Well, show me who the they are. Who's the they? And the next level up has two that compete with one another. One in the one side of the block up is the preacher who claims authority, which you cannot challenge because, after all, a preacher's source of authority is supposed to be divine. So how can you get that? How can you challenge that? How can you even question that authority? So the next level up is one of tension in claims of authority. And then there's, beside the preacher, is the prosecutor. And as much as the preacher claims, I'm right and I have the ultimate source of authority, the prosecutor says, with some kind of finger wagging, with equal authority, you're wrong, and will attempt to prove it. And to my mind, proof is always the question. Who's got proof? Who claims proof? What's the evidence of proof? And again, what measuring stick, to use the Brene Brown, what measuring stick are you using? And at the top, the apex of this pyramid, the final block, is the scientist who, using the scientific method to try to measure, quantify, experiment, and repeat, and hypothesize, and conclude through observation and evidence, might be trying to do all that stuff, but concludes, and this is the irony of it all, I might be wrong. So as much as we decry science and say, science is making itself to be scientism, like you're a religion all by yourself, not really. Science is a methodology, a way of understanding life as we know it. And that's the key part. It's what we know. It's not the misnomer is metaphysics. Metaphysics doesn't mean the stuff that cannot be seen. It simply is the name for all the books that Aristotle wrote that came after his book on physics, which is about all the things you can know that are measurable and observable by the senses. So metaphysics is simply a collection of writings after that in a compendium. It doesn't mean things that you cannot see that are intangible, although that is how we tend to use it these days, and many people like to misuse it these days with all kinds of claims. And certainty. So here's the two that are in tension in my mind. It's not the preacher versus the prosecutor. It is those who claim to be certain and those who are not sure. And that is why I lately have been hedging my bets, and the title of my book is The Journey into Agnosticism, The Grace of Uncertainty, The Journey from Dogma into uncertainty. And that is where I'm wrestling. And so the words humility, which I hear often in criticisms of science, like you dare think of yourself more higher than you should because you think you're a scientist and you think you know everything. No, that's not it at all. The scientist at the top of this diagram says with assurance, I may be wrong. Always entertaining the possibility that I don't have enough evidence, that I have not done enough due diligence, that I am lacking in some area that may help clarify this. And that's why we have people all over the world doing research, that you should be able to replicate and duplicate experiments that should be able to come to the same conclusions, and that makes the data reliable. Well, what data do we have? If you're in the vax versus anti-vax, COVID coming back, you're getting your booster in the fall, flu shots. We did record our first case in Canada of, I think it's polio resurging, and I lack the source in front of me. You can confirm it if you want. First case in many, many decades. Why? Because we have, for the first time in Canadian healthcare history and public health history, a sizable portion of the population embracing anti-vaccination rhetoric. I'm not saying they'll vote for JFK, or not JFK, RFK Jr. That would be a bit of a, what do they call it? A hot tub time warp back time machine, hot tub time machine. Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but I am sure that when we entertain ideas, diverse ideas, with uncertainty until we have evidence sufficient to engage our certainty switch, then much more good happens. Much more good comes out of public health policy. Much more good comes out of dialogue with those with whom we disagree. Case for humility, the case for uncertainty. And at the top, the claim, I may be wrong. The Jim and Terry Show. We might be wrong about a lot of things, but we love our coffee. Bye-bye for now.